Moving pieces in the AFC West as each and every one of these four teams has at least one very fantasy relevant player who could be off of this roster in 2024. Welcome on in here, guys. We're going to talk about the AFC West. We've already hit on most of the divisions, about half actually at this point. So be sure to go check those out right here on the channel if you want some deep dives on those. I believe we've done the AFC and NFC Easts and the AFC and NFC Souths. So here we're going to do the AFC West, and we'll do those Norths here in just a little bit too, as well as the NFC West in the coming days. So let's start things out here with probably the team with the biggest domino that we know will fall, and that's the Denver Broncos. Their only offensive free agent among their skill position players is Adam Troutman. However, Russell Wilson is widely expected to be cut, maybe traded if they can find a sucker, but he's going to get cut, and he's going to go sign somewhere for league minimum. And I fully do expect Russell Wilson to be a starting quarterback in the NFL in 2024. I think Donovan McNabb might almost be a career path to mimic and to look at, and remember, even after McNabb was a train wreck with Washington, he did still get a chance in Minnesota. That's kind of what I see happening here for Russ. But to me, actually, the exciting thing potentially here is a quarterback upgrade in Denver. Jerry Jeudy is a guy who I think could absolutely get traded off of this roster, but I kind of want him to stick around, and I kind of want to buy into a little bit of Jerry Jeudy. If you've been following me for any number of time, you know I'm not a Jerry Jeudy fan. I have thought Jerry Jeudy was a very overrated player, basically from his rookie year on. But he's been such a disappointment, such a letdown. I think there is a dead cat balance potential to be had here. Not going crazy over it, but I do think there's a chance here that a former first-round pick finds his own in a competent offense. So we'll see what they do at quarterback in Denver next year. We do just know it will not be Russell Wilson. Tim Patrick is another guy who I fully expect to be off of this roster as well. And in both of those two guys, both Jeudy and Patrick potentially being out of here, I think more and more opportunity opens up for Marvin Mims. Mims definitely showed some flashes this year, especially kind of early on in the year, but he just kept on not getting targets. He was only drawing 1 to 2 targets per game, and he was kind of buried on this depth chart back in the offseason, and with Jeudy and Sutton. Of course, you had KJ Hamler, you had Tim Patrick both fall off with injuries. But Marvin Mims never really had a chance to really capitalize on those opportunities. I think he's definitely a buy low. He's a guy who was probably either a late second, early third round pick in dynasty rookie drafts a year ago. And I'd be perfectly fine taking my third round pick this year and just spending it in a trade for Marvin Mims. I have no problem with that whatsoever, especially if we get to a point this offseason where Jerry Jeudy is off of this Broncos roster. And then if we get them to bring in a quarterback who, isn't going to be great, but just, a guy you could hope for. My personal hope is Jameis Winston, right? Like, put him back in there with Sean Payton. Maybe there could be some fun to be had there, as Jameis is also a free agent this offseason. Let's move on over to Kansas City here. The Chiefs, they've got quite a few free agents here on the offensive side, backup quarterback of Blaine Gabbert, but Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Jerick McKinnon both being free agents. That could be a big story to watch, as I'd fully expect them to bring someone in. That actually makes me a little bit concerned about Isaiah Pacheco for fantasy purposes going into 2024, because bringing in anybody can mean something at running back, right? So even if it is just a Clyde Edwards-Helaire equivalent level guy, right? Samaje Perine, for example. Just being a different body, a guy who this coaching staff hasn't lost trust in yet, that could potentially lead to some opportunities. So Pacheco is definitely a running back who I'm going to be kind of looking to sell this offseason in Dynasty. I do think you should value him as an RB2, though. So I'm not just giving away for nothing, but it is a guy who I could see us being a bit more nervous about in August than what we are right now. At wide receiver, everyone should be off this team. Sky Moore, Richie James, Mecole Hardman, you name them, get rid of them, except for Rashee Rice. And that's the guy who definitely has a chance to explode. The opportunity, man, I think that if you want Rashee Rice, you're going to pay a pretty penny right now. He's looking great. I'm recording this after the wild card game where he just had 130 yards and a touchdown. And with a looming Travis Kelce potential retirement, there's a chance Rashee Rice is the number one option in this offense as soon as 2024. So I could definitely see a world where Rashee Rice is a wide receiver 1 as soon as next year. I do want to give Noah Gray a small shout out as a guy with a potential opportunity to be had here in 2024, as a guy who could step in if Travis Kelce does retire. Sorry, I might be a little bit distracted. My dog King, come here, buddy. Say hi to everybody. Here, buddy. Say hello. There you go, buddy. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, King came on in to visit the video here today. So, hi, buddy. What do you think? You think Travis Kelce can retire? Oh, I'm going to take that as a no because his mother is a big Kansas City Chiefs fan. I think she'd be very sad if Travis Kelce retired. So we're going to say no to a Travis Kelce retirement, but we're going to still say yes to a Rashee Rice breakout, and everyone should be getting Rashee Rice in their dynasty league, right, bud? All right, buddy. There you go. All right, let's talk about those Vegas Raiders here. So the big free agent for them, obviously, is Josh Jacobs. He was a franchise tag last year, and Amir Abdullah is also a free agent in that backfield. Opportunity for Zamir White potentially, but that's kind of like Pacheco in a way where I fully expect them to bring guys in, and I think Zamir White could get buried in the depth chart. But I do think that he earned enough this year, though, to maybe be a 1B in a committee. Maybe he's a guy who can, at worst, be in the same situation as last year where he's a true handcuff to an RB1. So I still think there's some value to be had there with a Zamir White, but I would not be expecting like big running back breakout season as we stand today. If they don't bring anybody in, or if it's just like a very late round pick, then sure, there's a chance for Zamir White there. But I think that I would most likely be looking elsewhere. This entire offense, quite frankly. Jimmy G is a guy who I can definitely see being off this roster. Same with Hunter Renfrow, which I think Renfrow going away, that just opens up the field a little bit more for Jacoby Myers and Michael Mayer, right? These are both guys brought in their first year of Vegas this year, and both guys who saw pretty limited opportunities. Myers was really good early on in the year, and then he did suffer an injury and kind of fell out, and then Devontae Adams started playing the way Devontae Adams can and totally controlled the offense. Michael Mayer was a rookie tight end, and I know this year broke the rules, right? We had great rookie tight end play. Dalton Kincaid was really, really good for a splash. The great one, Sam Laporta, that's his name. He was awesome. He was outstanding for Detroit, right? They kind of broke the rules a little bit. Michael Mayer may follow, hopefully, in the Trey McBride path, right? Where, gosh, flashback to August of this year, Trey McBride felt like he was nothing at this point in rosters, right? Like he was barely hanging on to the back of your dynasty roster at this point. I wonder if Michael Mayer may follow a bit more of that path, but could definitely flash some potential. This is a guy who, going into NFL draft season last April, every draft pundit was saying he's the best tight end in the board. He's the guy. Kincaid might be a bit of a better receiver, but Michael Mayer was this golden nugget among tight ends. I think he's definitely a guy to go target in drafts right now, or in trades right now, rather, in Dynasty, and try to acquire him a little bit cheaper than what he was drafted for in those rookie drafts a year ago. Let's wrap this thing up with the Los Angeles Chargers, and they're another team in this division with a big name free agent. Austin Ekeler is heading his way out the door, and they also could be cutting Mike Williams for sure, and I can see a path where they're also moving on from Keenan Allen. So the three big pillars of the weapons of this offense, all three of them are potentially off this roster. I know Quentin Johnston was a complete mess. I know that he was terrible. I'm willing to pay a cheap price to acquire him this offseason, right? If he was going for the 107 last year, I think I'm willing to part with the 207 for him this year, even a 203 type of pick, right? I'm not too deep yet on my rookies for this upcoming draft, so we'll get there. So I know kind of who those names are in that trade. But Quentin Johnston, he was a first-round pick. Sometimes it takes guys a year or even 2 years to really sort that out. Look, he looked bad, and I'm worried about him. But I do think that maybe there's a chance of a bit of a bounce back for him, and I would not be totally against that. Just to mention other names here real quick, the entire list of free agents for fantasy positions. Easton Stick, I mentioned Austin Ekeler, Joshua Kelly, also in the backfield as a free agent. Alex Erickson and Jalen Guyton at wide receiver. And then Gerald Everett and Nick Van Nett are both free agents at tight end, as well as I can see them moving on from Donald Parham. So potential. If there's a tight end that's brought into this offense, I could definitely see that being a player to keep an eye on. I think Joshua Palmer could also be a player that you can acquire very cheaply, kind of throw him in on a bigger trade, and potentially extract some value from that kind of a move. But Quentin Johnston, I know it's ugly, it's harsh, it's got Sky Moore written all over it, but I do think that at least, much like Sky Moore going into this past year, opportunity is there for him to step up if he can take it. I just don't know if he'll be able to take it. So, guys, that'll do it for this one. That's the AFC West. Like I said, we've done this on every both of the NFC and AFC South. We did this on both the AFC and NFC East. So go check those out on the channel, and we will see you next time with the NFC West.